What's going on, guys? Vic Pete back. We are comparing today the HyperPie versus Hyperspin. I'll be brutally honest, I hate HyperPie. If you're going to compare it, let me help you compare it, and you can see the difference as far as why I can't stand this HyperPie. Off the bat, it's a Raspberry Pi. A Raspberry Pi does not have Windows, it doesn't have anything. So you need to be a coding master to really master this. Yeah, you'll find like the drives online. You can find the flash. You download the flash things and you put it to an SD card. Yeah, you get that. But when you actually have to sit down and like modify buttons and inputs, and you want to delete emulators, it is the biggest nightmare I've ever dealt with in the past 2 weeks. I don't want to talk too bad about it because I do sell this thing, but I mean, I don't like it. I will still make them, but I don't like them. I will dread every single second of me building these things. Off the bat, real quick, I have the bar top behind me. Right now on the screen here, we do have HyperPie set up from Emulation Station. This isn't the attract mode. So attract mode on this is going to look like Hyperspin. Off the bat, okay, I bought this HyperPie is really something that I built for the bar top arcade. If you're ever going to buy a portable arcade from me, like the GameCase, I would never put a HyperPie in it because the amount of money that you spend on it, I would rather give you a 1 terabyte drive, a nice looking laptop that will run a lot of games compared to this thing. This thing, again, if you think about it, the Raspberry Pi is going to cost you, what, $30? The SD card is going to cost you like $60 to $80. This is running a 200 gigabyte SD card. You can't go cheap with SD cards or else it will destroy systems and games and all that. Off the bat, I build these things trying to make it as comfortable as possible for the customer. I'm doing this as a live stream again because this HyperPie is not worth my time making a video and editing it and all that like I did with Hyperspin. The big thing with this and what I work and how I work is that I want customers to get this thing, not have to worry about it. This thing should work out of the box. It should just go. I'm not expecting you, the customer, to do a whole login and sign in and you got to press it. I don't want that. We really don't want that. I don't want that. I wouldn't want that if I received one of these things, and I don't want you to have that. So off the bat, the main objective, at least with the bar top, was to plug it in, literally outlet to a wall, plug it in, and everything boots up. I even made sure that I put the TV in this thing. I had to make sure that the TV boots up right when you plug in the power. Some TVs don't boot straight up into it. You'll just have like the red light and you have to get the remote. You got to press the power button and all that. With that being said, when you plug the HyperPie in, because I have everything set on one plug, it's a 3-way outlet, a 3-way extension cord. You plug it in, the lights, the TV, and the HyperPie all power on. And sure enough, if the HyperPie doesn't recognize a TV input, it won't boot to HDMI. So sure enough, it took me 2 days to figure out how to boot and code. I had to literally code and research it. Code just to get HDMI to like direct. It had to go straight to HDMI. And that was a nightmare on its own. That's the one huge thing that really upset me, because in reality, the other way I was going to do is that you plug it in and I was going to tell you, the customer, that you have to go behind the back of the arcade, unplug the Raspberry Pi, plug it back in, but make sure your TV's on. Disaster. I don't care what you tell me. You have to program that, and I can't stand it. Off the bat, again, we're going to do this comparing to Hyperspin and what I noticed. This, again, is Emulation Station. This right here, I'll be honest, from me playing around with it, again, you get your systems. This, again, I can't edit this. There's a couple of games. You can see my other video we did. This is 16,000 games. There's a couple of emulators like ScumVM that I want to delete, but I can't delete off the SD drive. Again, I copied somebody's flash drive as far as the XML, we will call it, to this. So he's got it coded to read ScumVM and all that in the videos, but I can't delete it. So I tried to delete ScumVM. I deleted one line, and the Raspberry Pi would not turn on at all, resulting in me redoing everything. It wasn't worth it. I hated it. So unfortunately, the customer, I'm going to tell the guy, listen, ignore this because it doesn't even work. If you try to power up Scum VM, you get this. If you go into the next step, you have to reset the Raspberry Pi, turn it off, turn it back on, deal with it. I'm sorry, but you have to deal with it. Real quick though, let's go to a regular system. Okay, take a 32. This here, I'll be honest. The wording. I mean, I'm over here. I'm trying to do it here, but you could actually clearly see the wording in the game that you could pick. It's pretty nice. You do get a couple of videos. Again, it's a 200 gigabyte drive, so you can't get all the videos, but you got a couple. You even have a little box art thing. This is pretty clean. So all alphabetical order. You see, I could easily see what this is. I could see everything. I could see Virtual Fighter. I could see WWF Raw. I could see this easily, right? Let's do a big one, such as the arcade. I mean, the arcade was what? Let's see. Almost 3,000 games alone. This here, pretty simple. I can see everything. CH. If I wanted to go to T, this is what I don't like. If I go right, it changes the system. So in Hyperspin is the Windows-based one. If you hold right, it should let you bring the letter. I can't do that with this. If you go right, it's going to go to the next system. So this here, you have a button program where you could skip the letter. And I'll be honest, it's not even doing a great job of skipping the letter because it should go from D to E to F. I don't know what I just did. Oh, I loaded it. Great. So I'm sorry. Let's wait for that to load. This actually could bring you to the next point. With this button configuration, I, for the life of me, cannot program. Look at this. Look at this. It says usage of emulators, blah, 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 blah. If you are not legally entitled, blah, blah, blah. Type OK or move the joystick left. Okay. Okay, at least it gave me that option. Or else you would need a keyboard to do this. Now this here, I have exit, and it won't work. For this, I'm trying, like I'm trying my best to program it, but you have to press the start and select together, and then press quit. I hope I quit. Yes, that's how you got to exit this system. For the life of me, I went into tab and I went into what you just saw there, which is RetroArch menu. And it won't let me program a single exit button to exit. A nightmare. Again, as far as real quick going down to games, you could clearly see the game here. If I hold down, if I want to go to Street Fighter, I have to do this. I have to hold this down. G, H, A, K, LMNOP. This is no BS. I have to do this. You have to hold this down. You have to go through almost 3,000 games worth. And I want to play Street Fighter. Almost. This is what? SH. LMNOP. Okay. I'm almost there. And now I can finally play some Street Fighter. After that, there's no holding down right like Hyperspin. I could hold the joystick right. I could go to my letter. Usually like Street Fighter ST, I would actually go to T and then go up. Whereas this one, it didn't matter either way. I had to do it. Again, just to point out the resolution on the stream, the Raspberry Pi is reading the resolution off of the TV, which the TV is giving off a weird resolution of like a 1936 by 736. That's why this video is not the entire screen on my stream. So the thumbnail is going to look dumb on this, but whatever. We got the coins. We got the start. I definitely pressed player 2, but whatever. There we go. There's player 2. Again, it's MAM. It's MAM Arcade. Now, again, for me, I'm trying to press exit. I can't. I have to do double. And again, I've done this. Don't message me. I've done everything. It won't work. Again, basically now you do have your little video and all that. This is not this is not a track mode. I'm going to switch to a track mode now. Because in reality, the only reason I bring this one up is because you could see, honestly, me personally, I would rather have my menu look like this than what a track mode looks like. Okay? This is going to boot up, so we're going to take a second. You know, HyperPie is made by the same company that made Hyperspin. The big thing about Hyperspin is the attraction. It's like it's the front end that looks beautiful. My biggest thing is like mine at my arcade at home. I have my computer running all night. I don't turn this thing off. I run it all night. So it'll just, you know, spin. It'll go randomly. It'll just literally spin. It'll pick a random game. It'll stop on it, and then it'll show the little artwork like you're gonna see now. On this thing, it won't do random spins. It sits and it's gonna do the same video unless you go there and you move the joystick. It won't spin. So that's one big thing that I don't like. I've heard the Nintendo song for the NES. I've heard the theme song like 40 times, and then you're like, damn, I have a headache with this thing. I hate this thing. Um, that's the one big downside, to be honest. It's such a beautiful feature that you take for granted. So here's Hyperspin. This is HyperPie. This is a track mode. So now you get what Hyperspin looks like. I should mute my TV then. I'll leave it be. I'll let it go. So this again is HyperPie. This is entitling the Sega Master System. And right now, if you leave the joystick alone, you're going to get this video. It's about, what, I think 30 seconds? Let me mute my TV. Hold on. I'll let you enjoy this. Hold on. Okay, so now I can't hear the TV. I'm just going to judge it based on what it shows. But now basically it's replaying. It's going to reloop, it's going to replay, and it won't move. It will not automatically spin. Usually on Hyperspin, after like 20 seconds of inactivity, it'll just randomize the game. So it is giving you the beauty of Hyperspin, but it's missing that one thing of kind of just doing a random spin. You know, there you go. Your systems are here. I wasn't able to put in alphabetical order. Elemental P, Q, R, S. Is it? No. It goes to Family Computer, Super Nintendo. This looks like it's mapped by Nintendo DS. So you have it there. So you're getting the Hyperspin wheel almost. It's pretty nice. We're not gonna knock it. Let's go to arcade because we always like that. Oh, oops, wrong one. And then here's your, like, that was the systems, and now is your game. So this right here, again, for some reason, it always goes to Rampage. I did not program this, but it always goes to Rampage. I could program a button to play the last game played, but I can't program a button to, it should automatically just go to this menu, but it doesn't. Like if I play Street Fighter now and I exit and I come back, it goes to Rampage. Why? I don't know. But again, this basically right now is going to show you a clip of Rampage, just like Hyperspin would. And now, normally, I'm not touching it. On regular Hyperspin, it would go to another game. We'll just randomize a game and pick a game, and it doesn't do it on this. And if you're like me, where I have my arcade in my basement, like on, you're going to hear Rampage 24/7. It's kind of annoying, and there's nothing you can do. Deal with it. This right now, though, I'm going to bring this up because here now, what we saw before, as far as like how the wording is, this is me holding down the stick, and now I went to Z. So now I'm at 0. This is basically going from alphabetical order. If you take a look real quick, I'm going A, C, D, F, G, K. So I jumped a lot of games just now. So if I want to play Street Fighter, luckily with this attract mode, I have a button set to go to the next letter. So N. It should be O, P. So I could do that, but I can't see the letter. If I hold down the button, I skip it. So this is T. I'm on T, so I want to play Street Fighter. So I always go to T and then I go up. You have Super Street Fighter, but I want regular Street Fighter. I want Street Fighter 2. You have to be careful because if you hold the joystick up, it just might fly all of a sudden to Q, R. And there's our Street Fighter. We launch. This launch is quick. I give that. Nothing special. But again, this loads up. It recognizes my joystick, just like our MAM Arcade would. Basic. Run through it. Yes, yes, yes. Just like what we saw. Great. Coin, coin. Again, I can't exit. I want one button to exit. That is all I asked for. And believe me, I tried so many days. I gave up. I'm done. The customer's going to get this. I just have to tell them, listen, you got to press the coin in player 1. That's really start, select. And you have to go and press quit. It's the only way. I don't know what to tell you. Now, real quick, if I could leave this, window, if I can, if I leave this window, I think it's going to load back up. I'm sorry, I'm so used to RetroArch. It's going to load up Rampage. Oh, it didn't. Shocking. But I think if I quit and then I come back, like turn off the system, it's going to load up Rampage. Let's go check out another system. Again, usually with Hyperspin, you hold it to the right. I'm able to load up the letter, and instead it changes the game, the system. That's really my only gripe, to be honest. I didn't even try to load this. Let's just let this load. They all run off of RetroArch, which is pretty cool because then it's the same button. You hit the select and start, and then you'll be able to exit the system easy. I don't even know if this is a arcade version or if this is an actual system version. This might be a system. The only way to find out is if I press... Oh, it's insert coin. Oh, it's actually a coin. Okay, cool. Next, again, double tap. If a customer goes in here and messes stuff with this, you'll mess up the system. Let's see what we got. See, so a couple of systems, again, never heard of. But again, it's a big difference. It's a huge difference. Main thing is though you have 16,000 games, so people like that. Most people message me because I have a picture of my bar top and it's running like Sonic. So people like that they see Sonic, and it's all there. Again, it's pretty nice. This is a little bit spacious. This is more nicer. But again, if you leave the wheel alone, it should just spin, and it's really missing that one thing. As far as what system is better, HyperPie or Hyperspin, again, those are front ends. Those aren't systems. They're front ends. There's other front ends like Launchbox. I just like my HyperPie, and I always represent them. So it's easier to me. I know how to code Hyperspin. This HyperPie, though, I'll be honest, it's tough. And if you know how to master it, kudos to you. But I would never try to work on a HyperPie again. I would not edit it. I would not add anything to it. Only because, again, this is kind of like the bar top. It's cool to have for a bar top because, you'll be able to play on Super Nintendo. You could play Mario Kart and your friends playing Mario Kart together. It's cool. It's different. But when you actually want to sit and like play with a controller, I would urge you not to get a HyperPie. I would urge you to get a Hyperspin-based system. Other than that, the biggest thing, again, is some of these things you need a mouse. Like for the Raspberry Pi, if it locks up, you need a mouse and a keyboard. You got to unplug the whole system. The biggest thing, again, for me was trying to do one plug-in, and for some reason, Raspberry Pi wouldn't show on the HDMI. I had to unplug it, turn the TV on, and then plug it in. It was a nightmare. It was a huge nightmare. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything else. A track mode, again, you see it. It is nice. It looks nice. It looks gorgeous. Let me show you the NES song. This is the NES song. This I heard 20 times. It's cool for the first time you hear it, but then after that, it gets very annoying. And again, I just wish that it kind of span, but it doesn't spin. Whatever. It's a nice system. Wouldn't really knock it for 16,000 games for a Raspberry Pi that you basically will spend what, 100 to 120 bucks after you get the fan. Like my Raspberry Pi runs overclocked, so the system is overclocked, and it has a mini fan to keep the heat sinks on the Raspberry Pi, at good temperature, and it won't lock up and all that. So yeah, for that, you'll deal with the headache. In reality, it could be set up to the arcade. You see the buttons are there. It is running a Zinmo. It's running the Zinmo controller. A lot of people having issues with that. They couldn't get the thing to recognize a two-player Zinmo. It only recognized a one-player. I don't know why, but for my system right here, it does work. The Zinmo is pretty cool, pretty nice. And again, I use the Zinmo for my Hyperspin. I didn't go crazy with N64 because you need a controller for it. Virtual Boy's Classic, Game Boy. Let's see real quick some Game Boy Advance. Again, you load it up. Cute stuff, very nice. Again, the big thing is that it's missing the spin. There's no rocket launcher to test stuff. So when I was like trying to test ROMs and make sure it works, I had to take the SD card out of my computer. I had to put it in the Raspberry Pi. I had to load it up. I had to sit there and I had to let the loading screen go. And then I had to go and pick the game. And then some games didn't work. I would go crazy. So it was a lot of like removing, going back to my computer, placing. Removing, going back to my computer, placing it. It was just a headache. Only because this doesn't have an OS and operating system. It's all coded. It's all literally like dashes and colons and parentheses. And if you don't know how to code it, prepare for the biggest nightmare of your life because it is tough. Just for me to code the Raspberry Pi to go and boot directly to HDMI, that took me alone. I did it today. I should have recorded it. It took me like an hour. And if I was recording it, you would see me go behind the arcade. I have my computer right behind me. I would go and sit, pull out. I would recode it, pull it out, put it back into the bar top, load, wait a minute to load. It didn't work. Got to bring it back, in and out, in and out. It was annoying as annoying can be. It was just, I don't know what to tell you. It's a great system, believe me. If you want to play some old school stuff, that's great. I personally am not a fan of it. If I was a customer and I would kind of sit back, if I had the Hyperspin laptop on one system and the Raspberry Pi on the other system, I would pick the Hyperspin laptop in a heartbeat. Not to mention you have the additions on adding, like, you know, for my system, I'm going to look at Wii U. I'm going to look at the PC games. The 3DS is the next thing I'm going to be looking at. So the Raspberry Pi can't even handle it. There's no processor, I guess you could say. There's no processor on a Raspberry Pi. There's no RAM on a Raspberry Pi. So you want to play PlayStation 2, you ain't going to do it on a HyperPie. It's not going to happen. You're going to play your retro stuff. I bring that up because I had some guy message me on Letgo, and he's like, yo, I'm tired of seeing the retro stuff. I've played NES and I've played Super Nintendo. Can you get like PlayStation 4 games to work on this? And I'm like, honestly, you buy a PlayStation 4. Go buy one. You try to find the Super Nintendo now that's going to work and you don't have to blow the cartridge. That's why I build these things. I'd rather go retro than stick with the new school. I had one customer message me, he wants a Fortnite on the wheel. I could do that. Fortnite could be launched on the wheel. It's a very simple thing to do, but not on a HyperPie. I'm definitely not going to do that on this. Just trying to think if I have anything else to think about or to say or all that. I don't even know what's happening right now. Did I activate this game? I don't know what just happened. Did you see that? I gotta see what that was about. This also has Cody. Another nightmare trying to make that work is you basically have to be connected to Wi-Fi. So if you want to connect to Wi-Fi, you go to your setup and then you go to Wi-Fi here, configure Wi-Fi. Again, it's step by step steps you got to take, and I don't know what to tell you. Again, any questions, let me know. If you were to tell me it's Hyperspin over HyperPie any day, I cannot stand this Raspberry Pi thing. I'm trying to make as many videos with the bar top as possible with the HyperPie as possible. So stay tuned for more. But I'll be honest, I think I'm done. I can't think of any other videos to make. If you have any ideas, let me know. I'll probably hang out. I'll probably find out another video to make. But let me know if you think of anything. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. GameCase all day.